thank you for joining today's webcast. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Amanda Kwan, and I'm a Senior Business Intelligence and Analytics Consultant at Thorogood Associates. I've been with the company for the last 4.5 years or so after previously working in management consulting. I'm based out of our Boston satellite office, though currently coming to you live from our Philadelphia Center City, U.S. headquarters. Feel free to get in touch with me via the contact details on the screen if you wish to have a longer discussion about today's topic. LinkedIn, I have found, tends to be the most popular way for people to connect and keep in touch, so please don't be shy. For today's webcast, I'll start with a quick introduction to Thorogood, then move on to an overview of supply chain management. I'll take that overview as a basis to discuss ways in which business intelligence can be leveraged across various areas of the supply chain to maximize benefits to your business. Finally, we'll end with a discussion of things you'll need to define a data strategy for your supply chain and ways to take next steps. For those of you who might not know Thorogood, we're an independent global professional services firm specializing in business intelligence and analytics strategies, solutions, and services with a particularly keen focus on our customers themselves. We are a global company headquartered in London with international offices in New York, Philadelphia, Singapore, Sao Paulo, Brazil, and Bangalore, India. All of our consultants globally are recruited and trained in the same way to develop a unique mix of skills, blending business understanding in the form of industry functional experience with a strong technical aptitude and a deep understanding of analytical tools and techniques. We do offer a full range of business intelligence and analytics services, including things like strategies and roadmaps, application design, implementation, and training and support. We work with many customers, generally Fortune 500 companies, spanning 4 data-rich industries: consumer goods, pharma, banking, and insurance. Technology-wise, we're an independent consulting firm, which means we don't work with only one specific technology. We do work and partner with a lot of the key players in the market. That way, we can provide our clients with a solution that really best suits their needs. In today's webcast, I'll actually be discussing ways in which a number of these different vendors and their tools have been utilized to apply business intelligence and analytics to different areas of the supply chain, including, Anaplan, Microsoft, Salesforce, SAP, Tableau, Teradata, just to name a few. I do suspect that many of you on today's webinar work within the supply chain unit of your organization, but it is important to know that it's not the only unit in your company that can leverage business intelligence. At Thorogood, we work cross-functionally across a wide array of business units, where supply chain happens to be one of our major focus areas. The work we've done within the supply chain space spans from S&OP and demand planning through invoicing and recipe management. So let's start with that overview of supply chain management. A common supply chain may look something like this. Raw materials are initially grown or created, procured, and shipped over to a supplier. The supplier takes those materials and begins the manufacturing process, creating your end products and packaging them accordingly. Once packaged and ready to go, they're distributed to the customer or retailer, whether that's direct to those retailers or sent to a third-party distribution site. Your products eventually end up on the shelves of the retailer, available for purchase by your end consumer. A seemingly fairly simple process, especially at this high level. With that said, how does any organization look to optimize its supply chain? Simply put, the upstream steps of the process, identifying and purchasing those raw materials, creating product, packaging product, distributing out to your retailers, these all cost money, and your organization is looking to decrease those costs. Between the supplier through to the customer or retailer, there's quite a bit of what I call relationshiping required. There are a lot of many players and moving parts in this area, and when time is money, the tighter your relationship, the faster and more efficient the process. Finally, once your product is available to the consumer, you want to increase sales by volume or price. Once again, seems fairly simple, but based off of the work that we've done with our clients, we know it's fairly nuanced. Let's talk about some common pain points we've heard from our clients across the process. How am I sourcing my raw materials? Am I sourcing them sustainably? This has been quite a big trend in the industry as of late. And how are our clients often getting that information around their raw materials? Excel files tends to be pretty common. Once you start bringing in the material, do you actually have enough to produce your planned amounts? Do you suddenly have too much? How do you go about managing your supply? How much supply do you send over to each manufacturing plant? Which supply goes to which plant? Do you have enough product to fulfill demands? Do you have product sitting around or any extraneous waste? How do you efficiently distribute over to your customers? How do you minimize travel, decrease time to customer? How do you manage your relationship with different customers or retailers? How can you best increase profit from retailers across channels? And finally, how effectively are you reaching your end consumers? Are your products easily identifiable for purchase? Have you established brand loyalty with your consumer base? So just a few common pain points here, and you'll have noticed on the slide, I also have a couple of icons denoting different ways in which you would be able to procure those data sources. Excel files being incredibly common, emails back and forth, especially with respect to sales management, a number of different databases, whether that's SAP ERP, for example, or just Salesforce for CRM data, and external data sources obviously can also be utilized with respect to information regarding those end consumers. So a lot of different pain points and a lot of different ways in which you can procure data. Many of those questions that I just spoke through and those pain points could be handled through proper data management and business intelligence across the supply chain itself. Things like sourcing, spend analytics, production planning could hit an individual area in your upstream process. Other views like logistics optimization, consumer analytics, or trade promotion analytics can cover a few adjacent steps in the process. More robust applications, which may even be sub-business units within your organization, include things like demand planning, supply planning, sales and operations planning, and more. This is just a sample of some common business intelligence solutions which can be sought after or built for your company. Let's go ahead and understand a bit more about how those solutions could work. At the end of the day, the end goal is to utilize business intelligence to allow you to analyze your supply chain fully end to end. This, you can imagine, would be quite the ordeal. However, as just discussed, there are ways to analyze and optimize specific sections of the process. So what I'll do now is actually go through a number of case study examples of actual applications that we've built, showcasing different technologies and different areas of the supply chain that we've been able to help optimize for our clients. The first such solution was a raw material and yield management application we created for a global beverages company. The purpose of the application was to supply insights into the production, consumption, and inventory of raw, packaged, and finished goods. All data was sourced out of an SAP system, while the front end was built in SAP Design Studio. A screenshot of one of the screens in the application is shown here on the right-hand side. The left visual depicts raw goods consumed in cases over the past 4 weeks, along with a raw yield percentage. The bar chart KPI over there on the right-hand side displays weeks on hand, inventory for all 3 types of your goods, and the bottom is a comparison of production, shipped, and inventory quantities for the past 4 weeks of finished goods themselves. There were additional dashboards available in the application, providing information such as production by line, which included a heat map displaying the number of production lines operational on each day of a selected time period, and a performance tracker displaying actual and planned production quantity at a much more detailed level. Ultimately, the application provided the business a consolidated view of raw material, inventory, and production. You can also look to build a custom manufacturing maintenance application, as we've done for a global pharmaceuticals company. The purpose of this application was to check all pieces of equipment within each manufacturing site to ensure maintenance plans were in place. Data was sourced via SAP ECC extracts from over 10 tables in the system, ingested and modeled within QlikView Desktop. Dashboards included the ability to quickly view KPIs such as percentage of scheduled planned maintenance and percentage of calibration deviation. All global assets could be viewed by region, site, class, and category. Work orders could be analyzed to identify the types of work orders required by equipment by site. With this application, the business was able to ensure maintenance plans were in place based on machine criticality and monitor the progress of work orders and resolve mechanical issues in a more timely manner than previously. While the project scope covered just manufacturing plants themselves, there were multiple data tables required for the analysis and 7 front-end dashboards worth of content. There is much that can be analyzed and improved with the data readily available and displayed at your fingertips. Moving on to other aspects of logistics, we built a logistics optimization platform for a global consumer packaged goods organization. The goal of this application was to decrease the costs of freight and increase efficiencies with distribution between manufacturing sites and various warehouses. It also looked to track truck utilization by brand and location, as well as monitor planned costs versus actual costs to highlight those discrepancies. Data was provided to our team as manually extracted Excel files from a variety of Access databases. Those extracts were ingested into Tableau Desktop for front-end build, and the application ultimately published to Tableau Server for consumption by business users. Longer term, there is an expectation to automate the data sourcing process. Instead of pulling extracts from Access, actually pulling data direct from the source database, providing Tableau Server a live connection to that underlying data source. The front-end solution had 4 dashboards or so, an executive summary with a current year spend breakout and a variety of KPIs versus their previous period. The second dashboard focused on outbound freight, providing metrics around truckload utilization, mode mix, carrier mix, and more. A third dashboard focused on warehouses, showcasing site costs, volumes, and trends. And that last 4th dashboard focused on inbound freight, very similar to the outbound freight dashboard with respect to its KPIs, and also included views on spend by destinations, carriers, and origins. The application provided the business better insights into monthly or seasonal trends and costs, and allowed for comparison to planned costs for investigation into large differences. A lot of the applications thus far have focused on these upstream processes and incorporated mostly internal data. But now let's pivot to product consumption, which utilizes more external data. Net revenue management, or NRM, has been a popular approach in improving top-line sales. We partnered with a long-time global consumer packaged good client of ours in creating their first global NRM system. The purpose of the application was to supply descriptive dashboards containing views as they pertain to each of the 5 levers of NRM: brand pricing, pack pricing, product mix, promotions, and trade spends. One of the biggest requests from the business sponsor was for these dashboards to be as easy to understand as possible. Its audience was meant to be global sales and marketing business users who would want a business intelligence application to be as intuitive as possible. As such, a great deal of time and effort for this application went into the user experience design and getting feedback from test sessions throughout the project. The solution incorporated both internal and external data, internal pricing data for customers, and primarily external point-of-sale data from third-party vendors or individual retailers themselves. Data was pulled into a SQL Server database, transformed into a tabular model, and ultimately built within Tableau Desktop. The Tableau Server dashboards, where the application was published, is connected live to the underlying tabular model to have the most up-to-date information. The system is fairly extensive. Each of the 5 levers, which you can see on the navigation pane or screenshot over there on the right-hand side, directs the user to a report containing anywhere from 3 to 7 dashboards itself as a deep dive into that lever. A discussion around NRM, honestly, could take the entire webcast. So if you are interested in learning a bit more about the front-end aspects of this application, please do reach out. What the system ultimately allowed, and what is continued to do is provide their business a view on all of their own product pricing and mix information, as well as a large chunk of competitor pricing and share information. Monthly meetings that used to require tons of manual prep in Excel are now done directly from the Tableau server application with the latest information available. That takes us to the end of the supply chain, but I do want to talk about one more case study. Special Packs was an application we helped build with a global consumer packaged goods client, and it was a massive undertaking. The purpose of the application was to reduce time from customer request to delivery of special packs of goods, those which are not normally manufactured and packaged in your supply chain. Reduction of time would equate to reduction of cost. The solution primarily sourced data from a variety of SAP extracts. It also took data from an internal S&OP database and took in a number of manual Excel files. All this data was ingested into Anaplan for modeling and front-end builds. Anaplan being a uniquely qualified tool for this business case due to the ability for users to edit and update data in real time within the application itself. We created something like 30 dashboards for a variety of different business users. We started with a main landing page for the user to give them a directive to where they might be interested in going. The application serviced finance, supply planners, demand planners, and more. So for example, a finance user may have had 7 or so dashboards specific to their view and input. They could view the requested special packs that have come in, determine their financial viability for the company, and their actual financial model had already been incorporated into the system and automated. That way, all that would be required from that finance user would be a review plus an approval or comments. From there, a workflow would kick off to allow the next user to view and approve before the special pack could really begin production. A supply planner could be interested in seeing projects currently in flight and how long they've been in the pipeline. Easy to locate red flags would pop up across the dashboards for anything requiring additional immediate action from their side. Similar to NRM, Special Packs is an extensive system, which is personally near and dear to my heart, so do reach out if you're interested in learning more. Special Packs covered a large horizontal slice of the process, though it had been specific to a certain type of product produced. So can you incorporate business intelligence to manage your supply chain? Yeah. Is there only one way to do so? Of course not. Lots of different types of applications can be created to allow for high-level cross-functional views or deep dive into a specific area of the supply chain. We discussed raw material and yield management, manufacturing maintenance, logistics optimization, net revenue management, and special packs as a small sampling of applications that we built for our users, our customers. There are many more applications you can build specific to your requirements, the way you run your organization, and the tools in place or you're looking to have in place in the future. Now that you have a feel of end-state applications you could use in your organization to make your supply chain more efficient, how do you go about getting to that advanced level of analytics? What do you need to get started on your data strategy? The first, know your data sources. We've discussed a few common ones earlier. I'll recap them in a bit. But having a holistic view of all the raw sources of data and where they come from, their refresh schedule, et cetera, would be incredibly beneficial in determining your application's complexity. Are you looking at just one source from SAP? Are you looking to try to merge your internal and external data sources together? Is data being refreshed every night, every week, every month? Further to that point, knowing your existing systems and technologies will be helpful as well. From a data perspective, there could be an existing data model or two within your organization that you could leverage for your expected BI need. Or there might be a model you think could work but has been a bit customized for a different business unit and would require just a few small tweaks to work for the way your users would view their information, say at a different level of granularity, for example. Or maybe none of the models truly work with your requirement and you determine you need a ground-up approach. Either way, doing that due diligence is the most thorough way forward. From a technology perspective, what tools does your organization use, and would those tools meet your requirements? Is your organization expecting new tools to be brought into the mix that you could leverage? Any future systems, either technology-wise or from a model perspective, that you could use? Could your system benefit from being in the cloud? Do you require mobile capability, which we found newer tools tend to provide straight out of the box? While knowing existing systems and tools is beneficial, if you can utilize the latest and greatest in technology, plan for it. Newer applications like Anaplan are becoming more prevalent due to their ease of setup and intuitive interfacing. Who is your audience for the system? What roles would you expect people to have? And does that come with any kind of security considerations? Are people only allowed access to a given region's worth of information? Is financial data limited to finance users? And how would your users best adopt a system? What are the things they're most likely to engage with? Knowing your audience is crucial for business intelligence application success. As an extension to your audience, knowing their roles and responsibilities will further drive front-end requirements and builds. What will people need to be doing with the information? Does it need to be presentation ready for weekly meetings? Do you need an export to Excel or PDF-like requirement so the information could be sent to third parties? What actions, ultimately, are you expecting people to take after viewing the system? And finally, timeline. Now that you have a view on sources, technologies, audience, front-end requirements, polish your business case up with an expectation on time to market and expected outcome from the product, maybe even going so far as to calculate a return on investment metric for management. From a data sourcing perspective, look at both internal and external sources. Many supply chains will take ERP data, likely from SAP. Sales data can often be found in a CRM database of some kind like Salesforce, and any reference or master data will be crucial in ensuring your data is being viewed and categorized in a correct way. External sources can be pretty far-reaching: consumer sales, habits, competitor sales, market research, social media sentiment becoming more and more popular as a source for real-time analytics applications. With respect to audience, roles, responsibilities, we've generally seen the following in supply chain management. Supply chain itself, supply, demand managers being the most common, maybe project managers in the space overseeing a project from order to completion. Finance, here we'll generally see users with different levels of approval. I discussed financial feasibility and that kind of approval process earlier in the webcast. Sales, your customer-facing folks, these guys may require additional applications or screens which can be accessed externally from your network. For example, an online portal where customers can order additional products, or maybe a set of dashboards for monthly reporting. Marketing, fairly similar to sales, but may include additional internal analyses ripe for automation. There's also a fair bit of modeling to compare oneself to the market as a whole, and potentially specifically by competitor. Master data management, you'll likely need to liaise with those MDM folks no matter what application you build to ensure data is displayed and modeled in the most accurate way for your organization. Engineering tends to be more focused on the manufacturing side of things, but as we saw earlier, there are many moving parts within a manufacturing plant requiring constant monitoring and maintenance. And of course, there are more. This is just a sampling of some of the roles that we find really benefit from applications in this space. Once again, contact me via my contact info on the slide here. Thank you again, everyone, for joining, and have a great day.